Hello, I'm Jeff Jones, Fast Track Software's Territory Director for EMEA. And today I'm going to take you through the last in the usage personas that we've been covering. So far, we've done Pop, we've done Robo, we've done Wiz, we've done Hero, and today we're going to cover the last in the series, which is Oops. And Oops really is all about our break glass feature, which was launched in Admin by Request 7.3. It is essentially a replacement for Microsoft Laps, and this feature is available on our Windows version 8 agent and also Mac version 4. So let's have a discussion about exactly what is an oops. Now, basically, we have shown the hero use case where if a user gets into trouble, a help desk person can remote onto the user's computer, and then you can use this support assist feature that we have in order for that help desk user to elevate their own admin by request privileges and perform certain actions that the user couldn't because the user has a more restrictive set of admin by request settings. So that's fantastic. The only slight consideration with support assist is it does need this endpoint to be joined to AD or Azure AD because you're going to need to authenticate as another member of that Azure AD or that Windows domain. So with an oops situation, you're basically talking about something has been done to that endpoint by accident, or let's say the user was tinkering around, and for one reason or another, the endpoint is now no longer joined to a domain or registered to Azure AD. And because of that, support assist is not going to be accessible in that situation. So we needed to come up with a way to handle that because the only other alternative is to use something like Microsoft Laps, and Laps, that requires a permanent user in the local admin group. It does password cycling, and for that password recycle to work, it needs that AD connection. So if it's broken, then what happens is the password just stays there forever, and that's not good either. So what is the break glass feature and how does it work? Well, first of all, just go open a command prompt, and just so you can see, I can type in a who am I, so you know who my local user is, so AD user, and then I can do a net local group administrators just to show you that all we have on this endpoint is this administrator account built in. It's been disabled and there's nothing else. So let's minimize that for now. So let's just imagine that me tinkering with my computer, or it's just somehow become fallen off the domain, and I'm working from home, and I need I can't get access to all the resources I need, and it's kind of problematic, and I need someone to fix it, but it's all been locked down by admin by request, don't forget. So if I tried to help or ask the user to do some kind of commands, it's all going to get kind of denied because you've locked it all down with admin by request. So this is a great use case for our break glass feature. So in that situation, what would happen is that the help desk person would then go to the inventory, find the endpoint in question, which would be here, click on it in the inventory, and then go to break glass. Now, the great thing about this feature is it's a single button, and all you have to really decide here is how long do you want this account to be usable for, once you log into the account. So once you push this button, you have an hour to actually use the account, but once you log in, you have a certain amount of time that you can configure until you forcibly kind of kick the user out. Okay, so you have a time limit, which is kind of handy too. So let's set that time limit to half an hour, and we're going to hit the generate account button. So this creates a one-time user and a one-time password. So I'm going to make a note of those. Okay. While that's happening, the endpoint itself is basically kind of going to check in to get those details. Now, to kind of speed those up, you could click the icon here and then go to About, and that will kind of force a check-in. And then what happens is that over in the portal, you'll see when that endpoint checks in, it'll change status to ready to log on. And you'll see in the log down here that you'll see who created or who issued, sorry, the break glass account, who actually clicked the button. And then once that break glass account is kind of landed on the endpoint, you'll see it says it's created. Back on the endpoint, you can see here, if I click and redo our command here, you can see that the account is indeed on the endpoint. So let's just log out and go in and use that. So I'm going to sign out here. Okay, so if I click here, other user, and I can basically go like so, and it is ABR 943985, and the password is gentle $88 Nelson 38, and I can hit this button here. Okay, so you can see if I just minimize that we're now logged in to the endpoint using break glass mode, and you can see here instruction, you'll be logged out at 12:22, which is the kind of 30-minute period that we configured. But I am essentially a full administrator. You can see the ABR icon here is red, which signifies that I am a full administrator. So I can do, anything I want to fix this problem, rejoin the computer or whatever it was that caused this kind of trauma. If I was to go into elevate something, so like command prompt, you can see I get the Windows prompts. I don't get ABR prompts because we are actually a full administrator here. But that said, as you'll see in a moment, everything that's elevated with a break glass account is logged, which is nice, and you'll be able to see that in the ABR portal. So let's assume that I've now fixed that issue. I now can just simply log out, sign out here, and then I can sign back in again as the user. So let's go here. So the break glass account is a full local user. It's not tied to AD or 0AD. So that's why it works even if the computers become unjoined. And it also means that we're not messing with the user profile of the user that needed the help. So it's a completely separate type of thing. So if I was to go back in my command prompt here, and let's just wait for things to start up. Okay, so let's try that command again. So at local group administrators, you can see the break glass account has been destroyed. And if I go back over to the portal and hit refresh, you'll see that the account was removed. So that's really good. We had a user with a problem. We sent them a full local admin that was a one-time use. We fixed the issue within the window of time we allowed, and then the account was logged out of. The user could log back in, and the account was destroyed. So and everything was logged. So if we go to the audit log here, you will see this is the break glass account that was used, and you can see that I ran that command prompt elevated in that break glass session. So that's the other bonus of using break glass versus Labs, is you get really nice audit logging of what actually was elevated when the break glass session was running. The only time where you might think there would be a problem with this process is what if the user forgets their password? So you've got the situation where you've disabled the built-in administrator account, it's off the domain, so maybe you can't use domain admins, and you kind of completely locked out. So that would typically be a situation where this would be, maybe a back to base. And then in that back to base, you've got to arrange kind of couriers and then the courier loses it, and then you've now got another problem, which is like maybe there was data on there. So from a small or seemingly small problem, you've kind of created a whole host of other problems that's kind of spawned off it. So if you have a situation where the user simply can't log in, don't worry. There's a way to get break glass account working. So, and it's very simple. It's just a case of rebooting the endpoint. So let's just see how that works. I go back to the inventory, find the endpoint. So let's go here, and I'm going to go to break glass. And just to be absolutely sure, we can go back to command prompt and we can see that yes, there's no break glass account on there at all. Okay, and I am now going to, actually, I'm going to log out just to be absolutely, it's going to be as the scenario plays out. So I'm logged out of my endpoint here, and I'm going to generate a break glass account that can be used for 1 hour. Generate the account. There it goes. So I'm going to write this down. Okay. Okay, so if I go back to my endpoint here, assuming I can't actually log in or I've forgotten my PIN, what I have to do is restart. So let's just restart the endpoint. Okay, so the endpoint is rebooted, and we're going to give it a minute or so just for the services to start up. But we'll know when everything is ready, because this status page will show us, it'll change from waiting for endpoint to ready to log on. So when it says ready to log on, that's basically the endpoint is booted up. Admin bar request is service has started. It's gone, kind of called home as it does when it starts up, and it's fetched the break glass details. And here we go, ready to log on. So back on the endpoint, we just have to click. I'm going to go to my other user and log in as this. So that would be ABR 114534, password cave 76 dollar market 01, and then hit go. Okay, so we're in. You can see again, I gave myself, I think, an hour then. So I got an hour with this particular break glass account. But yes, the user couldn't log in. We generated the break glass account. All the user had to do was reboot their endpoint. When the endpoint comes back up, it imports the account details, and then you can log in with those break glass details. And when the user is doing stuff with those break glass details, everything that is done elevated is logged too, which is fantastic. Okay, so I hope you found the webinar series on usage personas useful. Until the next time, have a good one.